What's going on, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We're going to be going over who is going to be better for the startup ecosystem. Donald Trump.
The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing.
Or Kamala Harris.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in?
In this upcoming election. So guys, if you're interested in seeing how the policies of the president-elect are going to impact the startup ecosystem, keep watching this video. And as always, cue the intro. What is the startup ecosystem? Well, it's the sum of obviously startups, new innovative businesses, angel investors, venture capital firms, and pretty much everything that contributes to healthy startups getting off the ground that, do have a high failure rate just based by design. Now, what's one of these things that can help or hinder? The policies and regulations or deregulations that the president literally wants to pass. So I'm going to weigh and give you a subjective opinion based on evidence. Whose is going to be better, Donald Trump's or Kamala Harris's? So let's start with Donald Trump. So just a little bit of a disclaimer, right? Just to not go too far back, I'm going to be going over policies that they want to pass in the future given election, right? So with that being said, let's dive right into it. What can Donald Trump benefit the startup ecosystem? Well, first he wants to do a lot of what's called deregulation, and part of this is going to be with the helm of JD Vance, who is considered a notable figure in the venture capital industry, deregulating certain type of industries like Web3 and other type of industries. But however, though, his acumen as a businessman is under a lot of scrutiny based on the fact that he himself might not have that much familiarity with this. Starting with Mark Cuban, calling him out for the fact that he wants to do all these things with startups, but has never invested in a startup himself without family members, and a lot of his various business ventures have actually failed in the past, where family members like Fred have to bail him out of certain real estate investments and other things like that. So with that being said, right, he's going to extend, if elected, what's called the TCJA tax policy. Now, admittedly, right, we're dealing with startups, right? So this only disproportionately benefited the top 1% of, rich people, centimillionaires, and all these other things, giving them 85% of the tax cuts. The concept of trickle-down economics, where if you give the higher tax cuts to the 1%, trickling down to positive job growth, wage outcomes, and economic factors, has been largely disproven since the concept was theorized in the Reagan campaign. Now, why is this important? Well, here's the thing. There was a record amount of what's called corporate stock buybacks, which a lot of big companies were buying back their stocks and giving themselves raises and firing employees. If you work in big tech, you would know about these things. And also, just to really loop it back, right, there's really not many incentives for small businesses and startups that's been put down in writing quite yet. To me, that's actually very troubling. Now, with the TCJA, there was slight benefits to individual tax owners. They were paying slightly less taxes, but if we're talking about things to benefit startups, I don't see, too much here whatsoever. Now, like I said before, dereg, okay. That could be okay, and things like opportunity zones and and all these other things. The last thing I kind of want to cover is tariffs. Now, he does want to do some things with tariffs, but however, it's not really guaranteed to work, and when you mess with tariffs and it goes in the opposite direction, then what that does, that impacts consumer buying power, and that's less ability for customers to buy startups products, get more revenue, and then scale up to bigger companies. And prior to what everybody believes, YouTube, TikTok, Walmart, Under Armour were all once small companies. So I don't see too much from Trump when it comes to actually benefiting startups. I do see the benefit to larger public companies and rich people. Yeah. So let's go over to Kamala Harris, right? So let's go over one of these big things. She has a quote on what she wants to do by giving a $50,000 tax deduction to startups and small businesses. Why is this important? Well, like I stated before, there's a 95% failure rate in the very beginning for startups and all these things, right? And while she doesn't have too much experience in Silicon Valley herself, prior to her opponent Trump, part of her efforts in the Biden administration is the fact that she's been opposed to big tech monopolies, people like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg. Trump wants to bring those type of people as advisors. Might be a bad idea for startups. She wants to increase the innovation curve for startups in the United States in the form of, acts that she already has, like the Chips and Science Act for semiconductors, and definitely put, more guidelines on AI and AI innovation, especially in the recent trend that there's a lot of outer capital from like the Middle East investing into startups in Silicon Valley, right? So I think this is a huge plus, especially for people starting out. Also, to the contrary of the tariffs, right? She wants to eliminate the unfair economic practices from China to America working in outsourcing. So she wants to definitely try and alleviate the amount of outsourcing people do and bring American jobs back and staff startups accordingly. So I think overall that's a big plus, and some things that she possibly has over Trump as a part of a bunch of other things. So I think the last part is, right, she's always been prominent of expanding the employee ownership policies that facilitate employee stock ownership plans. And that's big, right? Because this leads to committed workforces and promotes long-term growth for startups, because in the beginning, they don't have that much salary, but they can give stock. And then as you scale to your payment plans, you actually can give more salary over equity. So guys, I wanted to make this brief because what I didn't want to do is overly draw this one. But my final verdict, looking at what's to go on in the future, I'm gonna have to give the edge to Kamala Harris, because Trump's policies, while he has some firepower with JD Vance, he does want to bring in people that do hint towards a tech monopoly, or Elon Musk and all these other things. Kamala doesn't want to do that. While deregulation's good, I do think that the $50,000 tax credit is going to be better and give a more than nominal return. And on top of all that, I just feel like Trump's policies benefit more of the past growth companies, mezzanine and public companies, and just richer people, while Kamala Harris wants to focus more on these startups and the startup ecosystem growth. You guys, if you like what you see here, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.